What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're talking about Josh Giddey because we got a major update on where he stands with NBA free agency just around the corner. Will the Bulls give him a mega deal this summer? We'll dive into it all on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys could, make sure you are subscribed here to the channel because it should be a hectic Bulls offseason. I mean, we got the draft lottery on Monday, which we'll be going live for. So hopefully the Bulls, hopefully they can land Cooper Flagg. 1.7% chance. Same percent chance we had when we got Derrick Rose. So if you guys don't want to miss a thing, please help us out here. Hit that subscribe button, and we're actually closing in on 12,000 subs here on the channel. So do it for IO, rocket number 12 for the Bulls. So hit that subscribe button today, and let's dive into today's show. So there's an NBA cap analyst who is talking about Josh Giddey. What type of deal could he receive this summer from the Chicago Bulls, or potentially another team could be throwing him a bag? So let's talk about this to start. It was coming from Yossi Gazalan saying the harsh conditions of restricted free agency and the lack of offers that may come with it could get the Bulls to offer him something in the low $20 million range annually. An annual salary in the $25 million range could be his ceiling and ultimately a fair compromise. And then also, this is just an explanation here of NBA restricted free agency. Restricted free agent and RFA can sign an offer sheet with any team, but the player's original team can retain him by matching the terms of that offer. The original team is said to have the right of first refusal. So immediately what I think about when I'm just diving into this Josh Giddey situation, because I do want the Bulls to retain him and re-sign him to a deal, but it also has to be on a per year number that is not ridiculous. But when I think of this whole situation where the Bulls could kind of find themselves in some trouble is I think about the Zach LaVine situation from about 3 summers ago. When he was a restricted free agent, the Bulls had a decision to make, and then the Sacramento Kings, if you guys remember, offered him a $40+ million deal, and then the Bulls obviously did not love that, and they did not want to pay him that much money, but you kind of had to because LaVine was the guy you traded Jimmy Butler for. So I think this could be a situation we're looking at Josh Giddey. Let's just say another team tosses him $35 million. I don't want the Bulls front office sitting there and saying, well, we traded Alex Caruso for this guy. We kind of have to match that salary. And then we know how much the Zach LaVine contract put the Bulls behind the 8 ball. So this could be a very similar situation to Zach LaVine. Hopefully the Bulls handle it a lot better. But again, I have no faith in this front office making the right decision. But also this, in terms of a qualifying offer, which the Bulls will offer the Giddey, but he probably won't take it, and we'll explain why here in a second, saying for a player to become a restricted free agent, his team must submit a qualifying offer to the player between the day after the last game of the NBA Finals and June 29th. The qualifying offer is a standing offer for a 1-year guaranteed deal, which becomes a regular contract if the player decides to sign it. This ensures that the team does not gain the right of first refusal without offering a contract themselves. But the only problem with this is Giddey's qualifying offer is $11.1 million. I will fully guarantee this. Josh Giddey is not playing for the Chicago Bulls next season on a 1-year, $11.1 million deal. So Giddey will turn this down 110%, and then he'll probably go hit restricted free agency, and then he'll get an offer, and then the Bulls are going to have to make a decision on that. I wish the Bulls would just offer him right now, be like, hey, we'll give you a 3-year, $90 million deal, obviously fully guaranteed, as most NBA contracts are. I think Giddey would accept that in a heartbeat. He can go hit free agency again after those 3 years, and you kind of meet in the middle ground where, yes, $30 million is a lot, but I think that would probably be the right amount for Josh Giddey. So that's what I would do. Offer him a 3 for $90. Don't even let him go, test restricted free agency and go get another offer from another team. But I'll ask you guys this. How much per year would you give Josh Giddey? You guys let me know down below in the comments section. Ideally, it would be around that $25 million range, but I just don't think he is going to just get that on the open market. I think he'll probably get around $30 million. So if you guys could, let me know how much per year you would give Josh Giddey. Now, my kind of stance on this is if the offer gets more than $33 million, I think the Bulls need to bite the bullet a little bit. Where, yeah, obviously you would feel sick to your stomach that you gave up Alex Caruso for a 1-year rental of Josh Giddey. And it came with great moments, came with a lot of great memories, like that Lakers game, for example. But I just don't want the Bulls to just feel trapped with this contract. Because if you give Giddey $35 million, you're telling yourself and you're telling this team, oh, he's probably a third or fourth option on a championship team, assuming you have obviously that max player making, I mean, nowadays it can be anywhere from $75 to $80 million per year, and then you have that secondary star making like 40 to 45. But if you give Giddey $35 million, you're saying he can be a third option on a championship team. And I'm not saying he can't, but that's still a huge question mark in his game that is left to be answered. So I think $32 million is my cutoff point. If it's anything more than that, I think it would be a mistake for the Chicago Bulls. Now, we'll talk about that more here in a second, but first, got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the app today and plug in promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, the basketball playoffs are here, and the action is heating up on PrizePicks, and it's the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. So put your basketball knowledge to the test at PrizePicks, but also hockey. Their playoffs are here, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the ice in your PrizePicks lineup. Whether it's goals, points, or hits, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Maybe asking yourself, Patrick, well, what exactly is PrizePicks? Well, PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, I do want to deep dive into Giddey here a little more. I think the question becomes, can the Bulls build around Giddey? Like, is he a building block when, hopefully in 5 to 6 years from now, when the Bulls are hoisting up that Larry O'Brien, can we see Josh Giddey on that stage with the confetti raining down on him? And it's always the typical, hey, close your eyes, confetti test. Can you see Josh Giddey winning a championship? That becomes a question. Now, if you just take what he did on the second half of the year, All-Star break and beyond, in those 19 games, he was one of the better point guards in the league, and he would have probably been an all-star if he replicated this over an entire season. 21.2 points a night, 10.7 boards, almost 10 assists a game, shooting incredibly well from the field, and the three-point shooting is what you love to see the most, 45.7% from downtown. And, it even goes deeper than that. What I loved is his catch-and-shoot three-point percentage was 38.4, pull-up midi, 44.3, and less than 10 feet, 52.5. Obviously, the less than 10 feet is not, anything to write home about, but still pretty solid. But the point being here, we saw the three-point improvement from Giddey, which there was two big question marks. Can you guard and can you hit threes, which is probably the two most important aspects of being an NBA player nowadays, because we know Josh Giddey is an A+ on everything else besides those two categories. So I think if you are trying to build a roster around Josh Giddey, ideally you would have athletic and defensive-minded wings next to him. Like, you would have almost take the Cleveland Cavaliers front court, for example, where it's like Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter, and Jared Allen. Like, that three combination at the 3, 4, and 5 spot are the exact, type of archetype of players you would want next to Josh Giddey. They can run in transition. You got, great defenders to make up for his, defensive liabilities. But I think it also gets me to this. Like, if you're looking at the Bulls roster top to bottom right now, the only two untouchable players, and honestly, I don't think anybody on this team should be untouchable except for that guy right there, Modest Buzelis, huge believer in him, potentially being an all-star. But I think these two are the only two you can make where they are the untouchable players. Like, I love Kobe White. I love Ayo, especially Ayo being from Chicago. He's a fan favorite, but he should be on the trade block. 100% Vooch should. And honestly, I think Kobe White, the Bulls should be trying to ship him out this summer and get some draft capital for him. But I was just thinking about the Bulls roster and with the draft lottery coming up on Monday. I know I'm extremely biased when I say this, but I think the Bulls are the best landing spot for Cooper Flagg. I think you would put him in a big market like Chicago. You would put him in the Eastern Conference, have a true superstar there. And I think if you would put Flagg with the Bulls, you would be creating one of the best young cores in the National in the National Basketball Association here. We have Josh Giddey, still 22 years old, Modest Buzelis, 20. Io and Kobe White, both 25. Then you had Cooper Flagg, still only 18 years old, turning 19 in the middle of next season. Like, this young core would be one of the better ones in the league. You got defenders in Cooper Flagg, Io, and Modest Buzelis, and then you got an offensive mastermind in Josh Giddey and Kobe White. Like, that combination at the 1, 2, 3, and 4 spot for the Bulls could be huge. Now, the question becomes, like, can you get a young center next to him? Like, if the Bulls somehow won the draft lottery, I am saying they need to take future draft capital, which I would hate doing because you're kind of in this rebuild youth movement. You want to keep those draft picks, but you go get a legit center. You go pair Vooch and maybe like a 2028 first-round pick. Go get a young athletic center, maybe like a guy like Mark Williams, for example. That would be a perfect fit because I do think the ideal center around those 5 would be a rim-protecting lob threat center instead of Vooch, on the other hand, where he is that, typical back-to-the-basket floor spacing big who couldn't guard me off the pick and roll. But yeah, that's where I would go with the Bulls. But speaking about the draft lottery this Monday, got to get the good vibes going here. If you guys want the Bulls to land Cooper Flagg, hit me with a me down below in the comments section. Capture the flag. Are the Bulls going to win it this Monday? We'll wait and see. Hopefully they do, though. But again, friendly reminder, we will be going live here on the channel about 30 minutes before the draft lottery. So tune in then. And we appreciate all of you guys for watching today's show. As always, go Bulls.